welcome. Come in, come in, come in. This is Tamika's Den. I am Tamika. This is a review recap for the Shy, y'all, okay? Season 5, Episode 2, Old Girl. Baby. Old girl to Tiffany, okay? Because Tiffany is really pissing me the hell off, all right? But I'm going to try to save that to later, all right? And we're going to go ahead and get into this episode. So we started out this episode where we picked up from, right? With Tracy in the living room with Doodah and Quentin, okay? Talking about why y'all sitting in my living room looking like this is a daggone Stacey Adams, Stacey Adams ad, right? And, Quentin want to talk about something because it's time for the old timers to step back in. They both sitting here, smoking on their cigars. And so, you know, he's saying that the old school niggas got to get this city back. And she was like, what the hell are you talking about, right? Really, what is your point, all right? Where we going with this, right? And so he was like that he drove around the city and he just saw that, it's not no police out there no more. It's unrecognizable. Remember all the changes that they started to make, right? And so he basically was saying, you bribe the cops, the game don't change. It stays the same. And so Doodah is telling him, no, actually, these is not the cops that you're used to dealing with. And he's saying, she brings up, of course, the fact of their son getting killed. And he was like, yeah, well, I took care of that. And she was like, listen, you're probably part of the reason why he damn died. So, don't boast about what you took care of. So then he telling her, sit your ass down. And she was like, hold up, let's not get cute. Let's not get it twisted. You don't get to tell me to sit down in my damn house, okay? You not my daddy. And so Doodah stepped in and was like, all right, listen, hold up. He was like, your son's death is basically where it all began. That's why we all are here right now, right? And he was like, we are the three people that want the best for Chicago. I don't know about that, but, that's what he's saying. So he's basically like, they can't survive without, making these changes. And so, of course, Quentin is trying to throw little shots and, still diss Doodah to a certain degree. And she was like, look, I done started Trinity House. I done started healing this city. And, I don't want the police presence if you don't mind. And so, he's like, with all due respect, baby girl, I do mind. Okay, that's what Quentin basically tells Tracy. And so then we see Emmett, and he got all the boys, okay? He got all the boys at the house. He feeding them. He telling them they can't have nothing else to drink because they've been drinking all day. They arguing back and forth and all that. Little boy tried to get cute when when Emmett was like, my mama said you can't hit me. He was like, I can hit you, okay? And he was like, I'm your daddy. And the little boy talking about something on the weekends. He was like, what? He was like, nah. He was like, that's what I thought. So he was like, after this, y'all gonna go ahead and get to sleep and asking them what they want for breakfast. One want macaroni, one want pizza, one want pancakes. And he like, all right, that's what I'm talking about. And this is like, wow, this is what you call growth. Emmett has definitely came a long way. I got to give credit where credit is due. He is doing what he's supposed to do, okay? He's stepping up and he's realizing what it's all about. And so he's sitting here reading them, a bedtime story. And at the end, of course, they living happily ever after. And he's letting them know, even though they don't hear him because they sleep. But he's saying, that's just the fairy tales. It don't happen that way in real life. And then he got ahead and he laid back with them or whatever the case may be and try to get him some sleep too. And so, we have Tracy actually finds out that Quentin is the damn silent investor, okay? Because, she over here thinking that they just getting these donations and stuff like that. She should have known it was more to the damn story. He was saying how he always gonna run the city and police and politicians is always gonna be pawns. And so she was like, what exactly are you suggesting? And he was saying that there's a way to get everything back. And she was like, look, after everything I did for this community, I'm not trying to go back, And she was like, basically when she said that, that's when he was like, where you think the money come from? So she was like, let me guess. All this damn time, basically shakes her head and was like, he's the silent investor, So now he basically feel like he got say so because he's the one that's been putting all this money in. And he was like, yeah, and this investor is tired of being quiet. And so she was like, what the hell does this mean? And he was like, basically it means I'm your daddy now, okay? No, it don't, though, okay? Don't get cute. And so he go ahead and get up and walk out. So I was like, y'all keep some mess going, huh? That's how we gonna spend this one. All right. So we have the kids, well, no, even before that, Emmett now is listening to this guy, David, right? That's being played by, Dad, what the heck is his name? I don't forgot his name, it'll come back to me. But he's listening to him, and he's talking about how kings deserve better, and obviously he has a big following or whatever, and he's all into it. And so Tiffany ends up coming to the door while he's making the kids breakfast and getting them ready, and he asks her what she doing there so early, and he's basically like he's on the schedule and he got things to do or whatever the case may be, and she's asking him like, who's this guy he's listening to? D. Ray Davis, that's his name. I know it will come back to me. Right? So we see what happened to Peaches from Snowfall. He done came over here. So basically, you know, he's basically saying how he have to do all this by himself, how he, really would have appreciated some daggone help. And she's like, oh, all of a sudden you want some help? And he was like, yeah, maybe brushing the head and whatever, helping me out. He was like, I've been here by myself for 4 days. So I don't think Emmett is still really taking this, breakup too serious, because he's like, well, um, if you would be back home and if you would be helping me, then everything would be okay. He also brings up maybe trying to be celibate. And she was like, oh, please, you can't do that. And he was like, well, you know what I'm saying? We in the middle of a divorce anyway. So, there goes that. So he was like, are you still staying at your mom? She like, nah, she had to leave. She couldn't take it there no more. She's staying with a friend. Now, I'm like, So he was like, so when you moving back in? She was like, oh, I'm not moving back in. I'm basically staying with a friend. So he was like, you got my son at some random dude house? And she was like, he's not a random dude. Yes, he is, Tiff. That's exactly what he is. He is a random ass dude. Okay, we gonna get to that in a minute. And so basically she talking about how he owns his own company and all this other stuff. And he was like I said, a random dude. So at this point, he's just washing the dishes and doing what he got to do. She telling him about how EJ started a new school and he needs to go ahead and pick him up from school at 4 o'clock. And so she was like, you heard me, you gonna be there? And he's like, yeah, I heard you. I heard what you said or whatever. So then she asking him, is he okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm just great. I'm peachy. Everything is sweet. Why wouldn't it be? Basically being sarcastic or whatever. And so I'm like, Tiff, girl, bye. Go ahead, where the hell you going? We have the kids standing waiting out to get in school, and Papa is still basically getting dragged, okay, from his little performance that he had in the gym, and he's like, how long they gonna keep doing this or whatever the case may be. And then he was like, well, I guess all I gotta do is, apologize. He was like, I can't keep dealing with this. And so they was like, give it about a week, a few days, or whatever the case may be, and it will blow over. And so they all going through the detectives, and all of a sudden, as he's saying he just needs to apologize, and he doesn't apologize. He basically sends out something that says all greats get dragged, and he ends up tripping. Maisha says, see, God don't like ugly, or whatever the case may be. So that was funny. But as that was happening, Kevin and his friend is coming in, and they, ring red, whereas everybody else was green. So they had to step to the side and open up their book bags, and they got games in the damn book bag. So, security is basically like, y'all know that's a no-go. Why would y'all bring that with y'all? He was like, y'all gotta go to the principal office. So basically, they get sent to the principal office, okay? And they like, are you serious? And he's like, very. So, off they go. So then we get Trig, he's still going through the motions. He's still feeling it. Rashad is trying to talk to him. Rashad is also saying, I heard of people being, stood up at the altar, but I ain't never heard of somebody getting stood up at a proposal. At the same time, Tracy's coming up and checking up on him. He's like, would y'all just leave me the hell alone? So, they like, well, maybe we would if you would stop walking around like Snuffleupagus. So Tracy was like, well, I think I got something that's going to make you feel better. And he was like, what's that? She was like, there's a few people that's been talking about somebody that should run for city council. And she was like, somebody got an honorable mention. And when she go ahead and open up this little magazine, who is inside of it but Mr. Trig, okay, zicked up himself. And they like, yes, congratulations. He like, is this real? And he looking at her, he was like, nah, this can't be real. She was like, yeah, they know you for the people or whatever. They tired of fake ass politicians coming in and they want something new. And he's like, nah, can I really do something like this? And they both basically like, yes, of course you can. Come on, go for it. They was like, you can't just spend the rest of your life breaking up fights and stuff like that. And so they was like, you could do it your own way, and you ain't gotta be like nobody else. And he was like, well, I'm unorthodox, so they was like, until you get in office. And so he was like, really contemplating, like, you think so? He was like, but nah, I can't do this because I basically have, a record or whatever, a felony. And so they was like, damn. So then she says, let her make some calls. And they was like, well, if she makes these calls and this change really does come through where you can run, you got to do it. You ain't got no choice because they talking about making calls to wipe your record clean. So I'm like, okay, Trey, let's see what's going to happen. All right, Victor, I got to get used to calling him that. And so, that's the one thing that's actually able to put a smile on his face. Tracy is telling him the prodigal son returns, and he was like, oh, yeah, you would be like Batman, but no, instead you would be Black Man. And she's like, Rashad, shut the hell up, okay? And so they got head over there to work and put away these coats and stuff like that. And so Jake is in here texting, Gemma, trying to find out what the heck she mad about. And he basically gets called over the loudspeaker to come to the office, the principal's office. So the whole class, of course, is like, oh, you in trouble and all of that kind of stuff. You got Tiffany sitting here talking with Rob. And he's asking, like, does he know that you living here? Well, yeah, I told him about it. He knows or whatever. And he was like, look, I feel where he coming from. I can understand. She was like, no, you don't. You don't know him. And he is very, protective over me. And she was like, well, they had tried being open and he couldn't handle it. He was like, shit, I get that. Can't handle that either, all right? I need a monogamous relationship. I ain't trying to share nothing. So she looking kind of funny when he say that, and she's like, she don't want to talk about this no more right now. And so he was like, well, what if I still want to talk about it? And she's like, I don't want to talk about it. He was like, well, you running. She was like, I'm not running. And so I was confused because now it seemed like he want to get serious, where just last week he was talking about, he could have whatever he wanted. He ain't depending on her. And this was supposed to be just her coming here to stay for a room. But now he's talking about, listen, if I'm messing with you, you the only one that's getting this dick. This gonna be your dick. And if, vice versa, that's gonna be my pussy. And she talking about, no, the only pussy that this is, okay, it belongs to me, honey. And so I'm like, I already see a problem coming, baby. All right. But, he was like, if you're not ready for that or whatever, you need to let me know, because I ain't into games, and, I don't need no whole bunch of variety and, running all around and all of this other kind of stuff. And so she's just basically like, okay. And then we get, Jake coming walking in, and he trying to figure out what's going on, because he see Kevin them sitting there, and like, why he got called in. And all of a sudden you hearing somebody say Jacob, and he turn around and he like, Ma, what the heck you doing here? So apparently she done came to pick him up from school early. He's basically like, well, I need to call, Trick. She like, well, what do you got to call him for? I don't need his permission. I'm your mother. She was like, yeah. He was like, yeah, but he's the one that has, custody of me or whatever. Then she asked him why he got his hair like that. And she was like, he said it's my hair. So, the lady is telling him like, well, they got her down, so she does have permission to pick you up or whatever the case may be. He was like, yeah, but when he broke that name down, he wasn't really expecting her to actually come in and be picking me up. I'm sorry, y'all, but it is so hot in my room. I got the fan blowing. I don't know, y'all probably hear the nose from it, but baby, I'm still hot. This thing ain't blowing nothing. I'm gonna have to put my AC in tomorrow because this ain't no joke. So anyway, he basically like, she tells him, well, you could go with her. She got the permission or whatever, and they leave. So come to find out, basically what Kevin wants to do is start a gaming club. And she's like, well, who gave you permission to do this? And at first, Maisha's like, not Maisha. I forget her name right now. Come back to me. But she says, I ain't gonna be no snitch. And then we see this teacher come in, and he's like, look, they got the right idea. If we could get a couple of other students, to join in with this, I'm all for it. He was like, white kids do stuff like this all the time, so why should black kids get in trouble for it? The principal was like, don't come in here with no race theory best, okay? But they essentially end up agreeing that this is something that they could do if they at least get 5 kids. So he was like, the budget, what I'm saying, he will put up the budget for it himself. So Kevin and them is super excited about that, and she gives them back the games, and they got head about their business, right? And so now, as Rashad is in here talking with, Victor, he sees this lady come in and he like, wait a minute, bro, look at her. He was like, oh man, she thinks she a beautiful brown skinned black woman. So, Victor like, oh yeah, she is. He was like, wait a minute, I thought we were supposed to be finding me a woman. So Rashad is like, nah, this gonna be my woman, all right. I'm all up on this. And so he go over there and he's like, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. She's supposed to walk out. He was like, come here. He was like, Dag, I want to talk to you real quick, you know what I'm saying? So she was like, excuse me. He was like, don't talk. He was like, wait, just listen, okay? So he over here talking about, excuse me, miss, what's your name? Where you from? Can I take you out tonight? To the movies, to the park, after dark. I'm like, okay, what you know about that, all right? So I was like, that's cute. So she seemed like she was getting into the vibe for a minute there. She like, Dad, where that song came out? And he basically says the exact day. He's like, it's 2001. You got people who all clapping. So he was like, all of y'all was listening. Y'all all in my business or whatever have you. And so he was like, nah, seriously, I would love to take you out one night. You know what I'm saying? You such a beautiful woman and all this different kind of stuff. So then he just like so nervous and letting everything out. He want to be over here talking about, when I was locked up, that saved my life. And that was my mother's favorite song. So of course she hear locked up, she kind of changes up. And he was like, she asked him, you was in jail. He was like, yeah, but that's my past. And he was like, that's my boy over there. His name is Trig, but that's his past too. He don't be having no trigger fingers out. So he just keep blowing up everything. I'm like, Rashad. So, she get ready to walk away again because now she getting turned off. And he was like, wait. And he kisses her hand like, let me get your name and give you a kiss. And, she was like, you didn't, he said, I didn't catch your name. And she was like, I didn't throw it. So then he's like, wait, please. He was like, I'm sorry, okay. He was like, I know I started out on the wrong foot. I threw a lot of stuff out right then. But he was like, have been locked up, but that is my past. I'm not a monster. I'm here trying to do, good things for my community and put back into the community and stuff like that. And if you would give me a chance, I really would like to take you out to dinner and be able to put a smile on your face, and that's all. So she was like, Deja. He was like, huh? She was like, my name is Deja. And she picks up a piece of paper and pencil and writes it out for him. And he was like, all right, I like that. You old school, So they seem like they may, get to know each other. He basically was like, I'm going to save this and cherish this, for the rest of my life. So then we get Miss Jada, Tracy, Dre, Nina having a little girls' night, right? Or girls' day. And they having their drinks and they just talking. And she was like, well, let me tell y'all, me and Darnell kissed. And they like, oh, Lord, Dre was not happy hearing this at all. And she was like, I don't mean to trigger you. And they like, trigger you? So she was like, I don't know. We was just talking, and the next thing we kissed, it was like we was in high school. She was like, girl, do you know how messed up y'all was in high school? You don't need to make that mistake again, all right? And so, of course, all of them are giving different outlooks or opinions about it, right? Tracy's kind of lost, like, wait, what's going on? I don't understand what y'all mean. And, she's saying she was feeling confused or whatever. And Dre's saying, you don't need to go back to that. And Nina's saying maybe you was just bored and you were looking for something to spice you up. So they both looking, with their drinks like, wait a minute, what's happening here? Because it was feeling like it was some other underlying, situations going on. And Dre is saying, look, Darnell ain't the one. You already been there, did that with him, okay? She's like, Suede is the one for you. He's been the one that's establishing a relationship with your son, feeding your little plants and all of that different kind of stuff. It's him. He's the man. And so, Tracy at one point was like, well, maybe she wants somebody that does more than just water her plants, okay? And so Jada was like, now, let's not get it twisted, all right? He waters everything up in here, honey. So they was like, oh, we even had Nina throw out a little funny thing when Dre was bringing up couple therapy. She was like, let's not, all right? But they was like, well, then what's the problem if he's watering everything? Well, girl, I'm confused. What are you complaining about then? And so they all kind of laugh and was like, right. But she just says that, she feels like they're just getting caught up, and it was just like in a moment and a rut. And she was like, girl, you just trying to run scared or whatever the case may be. But they was like, let's go ahead and fill up these, sangrias, all right? And they need to have some more edibles and stuff like that going on. And then Dre was telling them, nah, y'all need some sage and stuff, okay? Sorry, y'all. She was like, yeah, I need some sage. And so then we get Tiff. She hanging with Keisha a whole lot now, huh? She's taking out these braids, she want to make her hair have this curly look, and she's saying, oh, now all of a sudden you want to settle down with somebody, and Tiff is telling Keisha, I was ready to settle with Emmett until he played himself. So she like, you really over him? And she was like, yeah, I really am over him. She talking about she gonna have her Russell Wilson, and she deserved to be treated like a queen. You do, but baby, you ain't doing the things to show it, honey. But like I said, we will get to you. And so, they catching up, and she's saying how, she always wanted to go to college and she never got to go either. And so Keisha was basically like, well, I'm doing this for both of us. I'll represent both of us or whatever. And so I said, all right, Keisha, go ahead, get it, and she was telling her that she's proud of her for her being there, whatever the case may be. And she was like, now you could go and get some new college guys for me or whatever too. Excuse me. So we have Jake sitting with his mom. They basically catching up with each other. She's claiming that she's clean, that she basically remembers coming there all the time and eating when she was pregnant with him. He's saying where she been all this time, and she said she really had to just take time out to work on herself. And supposedly she has done that now. We got Kevin and them in class. They talking about NFTs and coins and all of this kind of stuff and crypto. So he notices this girl Simone, who's the same girl that he danced with, at Maisha's party, and she's like, yeah, I remember you. And so she asking him if he's into moon, if he believed that, it's life on other planets and all that kind of stuff. And he was like, I guess I never really thought about it. So she was like, would he like to get together with him one day and just look up at the moon? And Kev, he open, he ready. He like, yeah, sure, why not? So she talking about, well, I text with only emojis when I'm texting. And then he's like, when she walks away. So I guess that's going to be his new little friend, for the season. And so, Trig is basically asking Rashad where he's going to take this girl for the date. And he's like, maybe, I'm thinking you're going to take her to Smokies or something. Because he said, nah, I'm going to take her downstairs and I'm going to make her some shrimp linguine, okay? That's one of my favorites. He said he going to fry up the shrimp and he going to make her some biscuits. He was like, honey, if you trying to make her fall in love with you with them biscuits, you in trouble, okay? She ain't going to be the one. And so, that's basically his idea, because he said he didn't have no money for no daggone Smoky. So in the midst of this, here come, Jake walking in with Mama, and he like, what the heck is going on? And of course, Rashad is coming and giving her hugs, saying how, he's being welcoming to her. And she's like, well, why you not going to show me love? And he's showing me love. So he's asking her how long she going to be there, what she need. And she's like, she trying to get on her feet and stay with them so she could get a job and all this. He was like, that could be 6 months to a year. He had told Rashad and Jake to go ahead and step out the way for a minute and let them talk, because, Rashad telling her she could stay. Jake over here being like, yeah, she could stay. And he's like, that's not your house, okay? So he was like, I need to go ahead and speak to her by myself for a minute. And of course, she's telling him she loves him. And he was like, love isn't just a word, okay? It's actually showing up. And he walks away from her. So we going to see what happened with Mama, So we have Emmett, realize that he was late to pick up EJ. He tries to run there to pick him up. By the time he get there, she like Robert, whatever, came and picked him up. So he was like, this bitch, he mad now because he don't want this other child, this other man, I should say, picking up his child. She don't put him on the damn emergency list. So, of course, he running straight over there to go get him. He come banging at the door. He's like, where's my son? Rob pulled something out. He was like, are you okay? He was like, yeah, he's okay. So he telling him like, oh, I'm on your side. I'm a team player. And Emmett is like, we ain't on no damn team. I don't even know you. So he's calling Tiff like, I told you not to have no daggone random people picking up my damn son and having my son around them and all of that. And I agree with him on this. I'm sorry. That is just too much for me. And when he calls her, she got the nerve to talk about some, I'm busy. I got a life too. I'm doing the best that I can, because he was saying he got busy. He got caught up. When we look, what are you busy doing, Tiff? She gets dressed and she's out partying with Keisha. How the hell is that busy, Tiff? Where's your job? Where's the investments? Where's the edibles and all that different stuff you was doing? I'm confused, honey. Like, no, I'm sorry. I know sometimes when you don't get to do certain things when you're younger, you'll have that stage where you get out there and you'll do whatever. I could even get it that Emmett was doing his thing and he dogged her out a bunch of times, and now he's in the space where he's starting to mature, and now she's kind of rebellion, feeling like she's been hurt over and over, whatever. Fine, I get all that part, but what you don't do is not put your damn child first and make sure that they taken care of first before you go out here in these streets to do anything else. Okay, and leaving some with some random ass guy that you don't know what the heck he could possibly do to your child. No, you don't do that, Tiff. I'm sorry. That's a no from me, dog. Okay, she pissed me off so bad with that. But anyway, moving on along. You know, we get Jada in the bed with her man, and I'm like, why Jada want to tell every damn body she kissed Darnell? I didn't think it was that serious. So she tells him that she kissed him, and he's like, well, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? Are you trying to be with him now? Do you want more with him and all of that kind of stuff? And she was like, no. He was like, she tells him no, it's just something that happened or whatever the case may be. Then she's like, I don't know. And so he was like, well, just because he made you some pork chops and he helped you with different stuff when he was sick, all those years that he hurt you. And it's like, first of all, y'all shouldn't even be talking about all of that. That's a big mistake. But nonetheless, he was like, look, do you want this to work with me or not? I love you. And she does say that she loves him too. And he was like, well, are you willing to fight for this? And then she claims, I'm saying, that she is. So I was like, okay, Jada, we gonna see. She's like, yes, 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 I definitely am here, and I definitely will fight with you. We have Jake and Gemma have a conversation where he's saying he messed up. He got mad at her and took out stuff on her that was basically wrong. She's telling him, well, I'm sorry that, Iman, what was her name? I can't even remember her name right now. I think it was Imani, Trick girlfriend, that she didn't come back. And he was like, I don't care. That was my brother girlfriend. She was like, yeah, but still it hurts when people don't say goodbye. And I think he was more so thinking about, his mom when it came to that part and how people could hurt you when they love you. And so he's like, well, who told you this? And she's like, your mom came back. He was like, damn, Papa told you that too? She's like, no, actually, Kevin said she came and picked you from school. So he was like, damn, everybody's snitching on me. So he was like, no, it's not about snitching. It's that everybody cares about you. And so then Rashad ends up coming in and telling them, like, all right, y'all stop all that kissing stuff. We trying to eat dinner. So they go out and they say a prayer and they all eating dinner together, whatever. The mom is there too. I don't know exactly how that's going to work, but we shall see. We have Duda over here trying to do a whole revamping himself. He's doing an interview about how he getting therapy and he had went looking for help and all this kind of stuff, right? And he needed some mental time for himself. And so when he gets to Tracy's house after the interview, she's like, I saw your interview. He was like, yeah, and what did you think? She was like, I think you full of shit. And so he was like, nah, I'm a changed man. And she was like, we'll see. So, she's telling him about the whole Trig thing and him being counsel, could possibly run for councilman or whatever. And she was like, I need you to clear his record. And so he was like, how the hell, why would I do that? He said at first. And she was like, because it's important that he runs for the city council, and he can't be a felon. And he basically was like, well, why would he want to run anyway? And then she was like, mayor and council was two different things. So he was like, So basically he's like, well, if I did do something like this for him, of course you gonna know he gonna want him to owe him. And he was like, he have to do everything he say. He have to follow all the stuff he say. He was like, yeah, I could call in a favor, whatever the case may be, but it's gonna really be hard. And she was like, well, I thought you had friends in high places. And he was saying he had friends everywhere. So, she was like, well, he'll owe you one. And I'm like, Tracy, you need to say you'll owe him one because you the one that's asking. Trick ain't tell you to come here and ask this man for nothing. You already know how he feel about him. So he talking about some, oh, I know. And so he was like, well, we would have to definitely see how everything is going to go. He would have to announce and all this other kind of stuff. And say that he's running first. So he was like, wow, he haven't did all that. He was like, we got to prep him first. All of a sudden, he starts standing up and saying all the different stuff that got to be done. And he talking about he got to trust me. And she was like, you're going to have to rebuild that. He was like, no, we don't got time to rebuild. And he got to listen to every single word I say and everything that I tell him. So she was like, he's not a child. He was like, yeah, but he going to need my help. So it ain't going to be no back talk. So she over here making all these agreements and stuff or whatever. And she's like, I'll tell him that. She like, but for right now, I'm the boss, okay? So I don't want to hear no back talk. You going to go ahead and do what I tell you that I want you to do. And right now, I want you to take off your clothes. And I'm like, girl, whatever, okay? She been wanting him forever. You know, we also had Gemma's dad sitting and talking to, you know, Victor and saying, what is he doing back here, right? And they saying how they still have that tape, right? And that they gonna, ooh, excuse me, hold on to it just in case if they need it for anything and anything come up. He was like, you know, he was supposed to stay away. And he was like, you know, he left you for dead and stuff like that. And so Trig, aka Victor, still very upset about this. You know, when he's telling him, you know, I'm hearing about you might be running for council. He was like, yeah. He was like, well, you know, what name would you use? And he was like, Victor. He was like, all right, now that got a nice ring to it. He was like, I like that. That's better than Trig or whatever. And so, you know, he seems like he's excited and like they having a good relationship too. And he's saying, you know, your record would have to be clear. And he was like, Tracy says she was working on it. So he was like, how's she gonna do that? He was like, I don't know. She said she was gonna make some calls. So they both was kind of looking funny with that part because he knows how that works too. And so, you know, that's when he started asking him about his name. And I did see this time that he was walking, you know, with the cane and stuff like that because I didn't notice it the last time when he was talking to Gemma. But, you know, they definitely seem like they have a bond too. So I can see this about to get a little sticky, honey. Okay, it's about to get a little sticky. So, you know, we have Tiffany and Rob talking again about Emmy. And she's like saying, well, we live together. But he's saying, do we live together or are we in a relationship together? You know, Rob is saying he would be mad too. And she's like, well, what do you want from me? He was like, I want to know what we are because one thing I don't do is messy, okay? I don't get involved with messy. And I respect him for saying that, okay? And so she was like, either we in on this together or we not. And she talking about some, well, we live together, that's it. She was like, you trying to be a couple. So I don't really think Tiff knows what she wants. I think she just wants to freeload off somebody and be able to go and party. And what he's telling her is either we getting serious and we getting into each other because she's like, we barely know each other, but you know him enough to put him on the damn list for your son, girl. You are contradicting yourself. And so then he's like, you know, if you want your freedom to have your freedom, one thing I'm not going to do is beg anybody or force anybody. You ain't got no handcuffs on you if you don't want to be in it. But he's saying that he is into monogamous relationships. And so, you know, like I said, Tiff got some stuff to figure out, honey, because I think she thought this was just going to be a free ride and fun and games. And he was telling her, you got to, like, you know, make a decision. All right. And he was like, the streets on me or whatever, you know, choose and choose wisely. And so he was like, if you're going to be coming home to me, then that's what it's going to be. So I said, I don't think she was expecting that. So then we got Suede and Emma hanging out. They bowling, you know, bowling. They trying, you know, Suede apparently is real good at bowling. And then he's asking, your mother like me? And he was like, nah, I ain't going to front. She, you know, you the happiest I ever seen her. So he was like, that's good to know. And then he's asking her, you know, Emmett rather, what's going on with him and Tiff. And he was like, well, how the hell you know about that? And he was like, man, everybody know. You know, she had told her mother told, you know what I'm saying, your mother. And after that, it just all went around. You know how that goes. And everybody else knows about it too. He was like, damn, my business always in the streets. It sure is, Emmett. You can't get away from it. And so, you know, they was kind of able to bond for a minute. In the meantime, Jada home and she having a glass of wine. Who come calling her but Darnell? And she all, you know, let me fix myself and my glass of wine before I answer the phone. Hello? And then he's like, what you wearing, girl? You know, and she all giggling. And he's like, what you up to? He was like, so did you tell your boyfriend about us? Yeah, she was like, yeah, I told him about the kiss, but it wasn't, you know what I'm saying, much to talk about or whatever. She was like, he still wants to work it out. So he was like, yeah, I bet he does or whatever. So he was like, he's one of those. And she was like, one of those? She was like, he's with your son bonding right now. And he was like, girl, if you don't put that appetizer down and come get you a full course meal. And you know, of course she laughing at it or whatever. And she was like, look, we not playing, this is something serious or whatever. You know, it's not gonna be no me and you, we already have our history together. And he was like, that's him talking. She was like, no, that's me talking. And so she was like, you know, let's just be clear that that's not gonna happen or whatever, right? And so then he talking about, well, okay, all right, you know, well, go ahead and you know, I guess I lost the battle or whatever, but the war's not over yet. And he's like, go ahead and put that camera, you know, down a little bit so I could see that full outfit, what you got on and what you wearing or whatever. And they both laugh and they just hang up the phone. So then you got Mr. Victor finally comes to the house. He see Duda. He like, so this is what it was all about, huh? He said, if you would have told me this is who you was asking, I would have been like, hell no, don't do it. You made it seem like you was making calls. You know, here go Duda. You need the right woman on your arm and all of this stuff. He was like, well, obviously I'm not getting on Imani back. He was like, we ain't talking about her. He was like, you gotta have a God-fearing woman and all this stuff. So, Trigger's like, listen, I ain't doing no fake mess and lying and all of that stuff. He was like, you do whatever you gotta do to get, in office and do what you have to do with your campaign in order for you to win. And Drake was like, whatever it takes. He was like, man, listen, you couldn't do it. And he was like, you're right, I couldn't, but maybe you can. So he calls in this Tierra, and she's pretty too. Drake looked like he was stuck for a minute, right? He say this is his play niece, and she's basically telling him, nice to meet you. And this is who they want, to be on the campaign trail with him, all right? To play nice, post their pictures on social media, go to different events or whatever, and have them taking pictures, saying she knows how to be discreet. He like, this is crazy. And she's like, no, nobody will ever know. So she was like, stuff like this happens all the time. People do this all the time. And so he was asking what she get out of this, and she was like, an endorsement deal, you know what I mean? And just publicity or whatever. She was like, nobody cares whether it's real or not, as long as we make it look like it's possible, all right? And she all up on Trey, touching his face and stuff. So, they making it seem like this is just a simple thing. And they just make some different appearances together and make it look good. And so he's basically like, and what if I say no? Now they talking about that everything goes away. And he was like, what does that mean? She was like, all of it. The Trinity House, the Rock. He was like, so now if I don't do this, then we lose funding on everything, because he's finding out now that is the finance do that. So he like, wow, so everybody loses. And they was like, basically, I said, you know what, Duda and Quentin is trash, all right, straight trash. Then he's pulling out NDAs, and Trigger's like, I'm not signing that. And he was like, well, you don't sign it, it's a no-go. And so he was like, you got a chance to make this right. You got a chance to do what I couldn't do. Of course, Duda gonna try to beat him in the head. He was like, so what's it gonna be, Victor? All right, because he was like, you on the right track already with, changing your name and all of that. And Trey basically just shook his head and was like, I'm out of here. Tracy was trying to go after him, but Duda was like. So then we have Dre and Nina, they in the mirror. She fixing herself up. They looking at each other. So I'm like, you look good. You look good too. And they go to sit in front of this laptop. And come to find out they're doing couples counseling, virtually. And the counselor's asking them how's it going, and then both their faces was looking funny. So I don't know, y'all. Do y'all think Nina and Dre is gonna make it through this, honey? They look like they trying, but it feels like it's gonna be a no, y'all. It feels like they trying, and it feels like it's gonna be a no. That's the vibe I'm getting. I don't know. Y'all put it in the comments, y'all. I don't know, but I'm worried about them, okay? Because it was looking real awkward. We have Rashad. He done made this dinner. His date is over here, okay? He got everything all spread out for her. I said, all right, come through, y'all. Come through. Now, listen, I love me some shrimp linguine, all right? My son be making that for me. God bless the dad. My babies used to make it for me, and I used to enjoy it, all right? And so I'm here for that. And he had the little Moscato, and she was like, well, I don't really do Moscato, okay? She was asking him if he's ever been to a wine tasting, and he was like, no, I don't want to sound ignorant, but what do you do at a wine tasting? She said, basically, you drink the wine, and then you spit it out. He was like, spit it out? Ain't nobody got time to be wasting no good wine. She started laughing, and he was like, are you laughing at me? She was like, no, you just make me smile. And he was like, well, that's good to know. That means I'm, doing a job well done. And he said, well, we going to go ahead and get into this food, and you going to drink some of this wine, because I done spent $8.99 on it, all right? So I'm happy for Rashad. I'm glad he got a little boo thing coming through, all right? Let's see where this goes. I could go for that. I think that he deserves to have somebody else that he could be around besides Trick. Okay, mix it up a little bit. And I would like to see them on this wine tasting date. All right, so then we had, Maisha come and say, what's up, Papa? What you gonna do? Okay, because you've been bull crapping. Are you ready? And he's like, oh, look at these celebrity threads. When they, apologize, people still be going in. They still saying something that they did wrong. And she was like, no matter what, it's always going to be something wrong. And people will be mad for no reason. But you know what I mean? You got to go ahead and handle this now. All right. And so he got ahead and he get up and he walk over to the desk, prop his phone up, and basically he starts recording. And he's like, look, y'all, I messed up, okay? I messed up big time. You know what I'm saying? It's time for me to admit it. He was like, I shouldn't have been throwing stones. It tells us about, this in the Bible and all of that kind of stuff. None of us is perfect. He's like, I'm sorry I went after you, Jake, with your basketball skills. You got other skills that you're really good at. He was like, even though you be stealing people girls, but we ain't going to go into that, okay? We ain't going to rehash that and bring that up. But he was like, but seriously, you're the brother that I never wanted. And, Papa's funny because it's like he's apologizing, but he's being negative at the same time. But he was like, at the end of the day, I couldn't see my life without you, and I love you. And Maisha started smiling a little bit and gave him the thumbs up, like, that's what I'm talking about. So we have Emmett come home to this empty house. He looking all sad and pathetic. And he's still watching this guy, David, on the phone. And David is talking about celibacy and, saving yourself and you the king and, nobody don't deserve to get this and all that kind of stuff. If they want to be acting funny, then you can act funny too. He's like, is your life fucked up? And Emmett is basically like, yep. He was like, is your woman gone? He was like, hell yeah. He was like, you feeling lost and lonely? He was like, yep. So he was like, do this celibacy challenge. And he was like, stop being a whore. Save yourself. So Emmett is like, hell yeah, all right. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to do this. And so I'm like, do y'all think that Emmett can really do this celibacy challenge? Put it in the comments. Put it in the comments. This will be interesting, yo. We seeing Emmett turn into a whole different man. Hey, you never know. This is definitely going to be interesting. But what do y'all think is going to happen? Do y'all see Dre and Nina being okay? Is Trey and them mom about to stay clean? Is he gonna go ahead and go for this counsel? You know what I'm saying, man? And Duda and them, we know they gonna still stay trash. And is Tiff about to get hurt by Rob, or is Rob about to get hurt by Tiff? What's going on, y'all? Put it in the comments. Let's all discuss. Like, excuse me, Lord, I'm about to choke in here, y'all. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Till next time, I'll talk to y'all later. Toodaloo.